we couldn't ignore another chance to talk about the tech giant with this recent rally. After some volatility over the last 2 months, NVIDIA is back on the rise and remains a top choice for most investors. We're going to get into why this stock is rallying right now and how far analysts think this NVIDIA breakout could go. But first, here's a few things about this innovative company that have led to its nearly 200% gain in just the last year. So first, NVIDIA dominates the AI industry. What really makes NVIDIA stand out against competitors is its CUDA technology. Now, CUDA allows developers to use NVIDIA's GPUs for high-volume computing, not just graphics. This capability is essential for AI and data-intensive applications, and that really gives NVIDIA a competitive edge that others simply don't have. And that's why they're no longer just a semiconductor company. They're a key player in AI, cloud computing, and data centers. Now, all of those advancements and innovations are paying off in NVIDIA's financials, with revenue growth topping 200% in late 2023 and in early 2024. Now, even though that pace has slowed to about 80% in late 24, the numbers are still incredibly strong. And the outlook for 2025, well, many analysts expect another 40% to even 50% growth, though some believe they might be underestimating NVIDIA's potential. NVIDIA does have a record of outperforming expectations, beating consensus estimates in every quarter since 2022. They've also consistently raised their guidance, often by more than 500 basis points above what analysts were forecasting. This trend of beating expectations is likely to continue, supported by strong demand for their AI and GPU products.
As Wall Street analysts maintained their bullish perspectives on NVIDIA ahead of its November earnings announcement, the company's shares closed at a record high on Monday. The top AI chipmaker's stock increased more than 4% to settle at $143.71 per share. This action follows the reaffirmation of Wall Street analysts' buy ratings for the stock. Investment research company CFRA increased its price objective for NVIDIA last week from $139 to $160, while Bank of America increased its price goal on Friday from $165 to $190, citing robust demand for AI. According to Bloomberg consensus estimates, experts anticipate that shares will rise to $148.37 over the course of the next 12 months. According to Bank of America analyst Vivek Arya, NVIDIA's dominance in the enterprise AI arena, or its alliances with firms like Microsoft and Accenture, is another driver driving his higher price target, in addition to the expansion of the AI market overall. According to Arya, NVIDIA is the preferred partner for enterprise AI software and hardware. In a note to investors on Sunday, Wedbush analyst and NVIDIA bull Dan Ives reinforced that attitude, stating that NVIDIA is driving the market and that enterprise expenditure is exploding due to the explosion of AI use cases. According to Ives, businesses will spend $1 trillion on AI capital expenditures between now and 2027, which will result in a tenfold increase in the market for AI infrastructure. In summary, we think that with this current bull market just entering its next stage, driven by the AI revolution, the stage is set for tech stocks to rise by another 20% in 2025, Ives continued. As the Fed and Powell have begun their aggressive rate-cutting cycle, we believe that a macro soft landing is still the way to go, and that the IT sector is just beginning to see a generational spending cycle in AI spending. NVIDIA's stock has increased by about 3% in the last week and more than 20% in the previous month, despite a brief decline last week and looming concerns about a slowdown in AI spending. According to NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang, the demand for the company's AI chips, which big tech companies employ to power generative artificial intelligence software in their data centers, is insane. NVIDIA and other AI stocks have increased in response to recent good news from the company's industry partners. Both TSMC, which produces NVIDIA's AI processors, and Micron, which provides the memory chips used in NVIDIA's GPUs, exceeded Wall Street's expectations in their most recent earnings reports. International Business Strategies, a consulting group that studies industry statistics, projects that the AI chip market would expand by 99% in 2024 and another 74% in 2025. If you want to keep up with NVIDIA's latest updates and keep up with the stock market latest news, you can subscribe to our investing tutorial channel as we post daily updates about the biggest changes and catalysts in the market. So click the subscribe button if you don't want to miss the newest market updates. Now back to today's video.
All right, well, sticking with the AI story, NVIDIA's price target hiked to $190 from $165 over at Bank of America. You can see the stock is up about 2.5%. Right now, Bank of America's Vivek Arya saying a generational opportunity is still ahead for the company. Our very own Brian Sozzi spoke with the analysts behind the call. Here's what they had to say.
We are in front of a generational opportunity because it's not every day you go and get a chance to re-architect the plumbings, right, of the computing infrastructure. This is what we saw back in the late 80s when the internet started. There was a small movement in the Department of Defense, and then gradually it reached the commercial stage. And every year there were questions about, what are the returns on investment? But what we saw during that nearly 10 to 20 year phase was new business models get created. Amazon came out, Google came out, Meta came out, right? Microsoft changed its entire way of doing business.
It's fascinating to hear Vivek pointing to some of the things that other analysts point to as the bearish signals for AI moving forward, comparing it to that tech bubble that we saw heading into the early 2000s here, but pointing out kind of the flip side of the argument that all of these big tech companies that are the magnificent seven stars we talk about every day were created during that time period. So maybe it's less a case of a bubble that's going to get popped in another case, which could be that we're going to get new names in the space, and NVIDIA is going to be the driver of those new names that need their chips.
Yeah, and what also I thought was so interesting, and he said this within this note and further elaborated on this with his conversation with Sozzi earlier this morning, was just how big of a driver these massive hyperscalers are in order for adoption. Obviously, NVIDIA, a direct beneficiary, but then when you think about the dominance and dominant role that they play, but as you get more and more money allocated to this space, there's more room for other companies, to your point, to do well. So it's not just NVIDIA that's going to shine within the space, but there's lots of reason to be optimistic about AI. He also mentioned the results that we got out from TSMC last week, which certainly helped change a bit of the narrative. We did see a sell-off earlier in the week on the heels of ASML's disappointing guidance. Also some worries about further restrictions or curbs from the Biden administration targeting Middle Eastern companies. But then when you took a look at TSMC's results and the massive amount of demand that they currently are seeing, what their expectations are for quarters to come, that certainly helped ease any of the fears that we had out there on the street. And Maddie, you and I had talked to so many analysts and strategists, portfolio managers over the last several weeks that have remained extremely optimistic about NVIDIA. And many are even say that there's no doubt that it's going to be the first company to reach that $4 trillion valuation. So we'll see whether or not the momentum continues.
However, given that investors were uncooperative throughout big tech's most recent round of quarterly releases, there's a potential that even the smallest slowdown in NVIDIA's growth might cause the stock to drop. NVIDIA is anticipated to report third-quarter earnings per share of $0.74, an 84% increase over the previous year, based on Bloomberg's tracking of Wall Street analysts. Revenue is expected to increase by 83% to $33.1 billion. On NVIDIA stock, almost 67 analysts have outperform ratings, 7 have hold ratings, and only 1 suggests selling shares. For a number of years, the stock market has been smitten with NVIDIA, a manufacturer of artificial intelligence, AI, chips. About the past 5 years, the stock has increased by about 2,800%, and this year, it has increased by almost 190%. Given that AI is the primary pick and shovels game, and that many people think it has the potential to upend nearly every aspect of the economy, it is simple to understand why investors are so excited about the company. NVIDIA's total revenue in fiscal years 2023 and 2024 was close to $27 billion and $61 billion, respectively, representing a 126% increase. Will NVIDIA be able to maintain this speed and maybe make trillions of dollars in sales by 2030? This is Wall Street's perspective. Since its fiscal year lasts from February to January of the following year, NVIDIA is a little different from most publicly traded firms. As a result, it is currently in its fiscal year 2025. The amount of revenue that Wall Street analysts predict NVIDIA will generate for the rest of fiscal 2025 and the years that follow, up to fiscal 2030, may be found by looking at consensus projections. To determine an average, or occasionally median, number, the consensus examines all or a sizable group of Wall Street analysts and aggregates their projections. It's critical to realize that a consensus is more likely to be accurate if there are more analysts in agreement. As analysts revise estimates in response to fresh data, such as earnings or significant announcements, the consensus shifts. Fortunately, many experts are keeping a close eye on NVIDIA's every move, as it is a well-known and highly liquid stock. According to the consensus, NVIDIA's total income between 2025 and 2030 will be approximately $1.29 trillion. It is feasible, though, given Wall Street's most optimistic prognosis at the moment, as the top estimate for each year combined together comes to $2 trillion. Investors should, nevertheless, always aim for conservative forecasts. The fact that the low predictions are substantially closer to consensus than the high ones is also telling, in my opinion. The demand for and overall long-term effects of artificial intelligence, which are difficult to measure at the moment, will ultimately have a significant impact on NVIDIA's earnings. I wouldn't use the street's high projection to predict revenue and earnings in order to get a future valuation for NVIDIA, which currently trades at a very high price. So what does this really mean for NVIDIA's stock? Let's find out, but first, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
There are a few other things that have retail investors excited that are helping to fuel this recent climb. NVIDIA's stock split made its shares more accessible to smaller investors, which often helps to boost share prices. Another split may be on the horizon, raising the possibility of NVIDIA being included in the Dow Jones Industrial Index. If that happens, demand for the stock could surge due to increased buying from index funds and ETFs. Now, when it comes to dividends, this is a growth opportunity for NVIDIA. The company's dividend might be small now, but it is steady and there's room for growth. With strong cash flow, the company could increase its dividend payouts and continue its share repurchase program, which already reduced the share count by an average of 0.6% last quarter. Let's get into the stock and its potential for growth. Analysts are overwhelmingly bullish on NVIDIA, with 43 ratings at a consensus buy. Price targets suggest the stock could see another 10% upside, with the high end of estimates reaching near $175, about 40% above its current level. If NVIDIA breaks through the critical resistance level of $135, it could pave the way to even higher gains by the time Q3 results are released in November. NVIDIA's role in AI and its strong growth metrics have cemented its place as a favorite among investors. With analysts backing it up and the potential for more growth on the horizon, it is easy to see why NVIDIA remains at the top of many watch lists.
According to a Bloomberg interview with Thailand's Commerce Minister Payen NVDA on Monday, October 21, NVIDIA will reveal its investment intentions for Thailand when CEO Jensen Huang visits Bangkok in December. More investment interests could result, he suggested, with linked clusters following suit. It is the most recent in a series of announcements about big tech investments in countries in Southeast Asia. As global supply networks change due to violence, trade conflicts, and uncertainty, the region has emerged as a focal point for foreign direct investment. Thailand and its neighbors have attracted a lot of attention due to their good infrastructure and relative neutrality. Millions of dollars have been invested in Thailand in the past by corporations such as Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. The Damak Group, located in Dubai, recently declared that it would invest $1 billion in data centers in the nation, According to the Minister of Commerce, by the end of the year, both domestic and foreign businesses may submit investment proposals totaling up to $30 billion. According to figures from Thailand's Board of Investment promises totaled $21.6 billion for the first 3 quarters of 2024. When compared to the same time in 2023, this is a 42% increase. According to the BOI, 2,195 projects were authorized during this time. NVIDIA is thinking about entering the Vietnamese market and has committed to investments in Malaysia and Indonesia. The U.S. software behemoth Oracle has revealed plans to invest $6.5 billion to establish a cloud services hub in Malaysia. Thailand is keen to regain the progress it missed during the 10 years of military control, which began in 2014 when a democratically elected government was overthrown by a military coup. Significant limitations on political and civil liberties were in place throughout this time. The nation's opposition parties defeated the military junta in the 2023 elections by garnering the most votes. The military has ruled Thailand for a very long time. Originally developed and published by Investment Monitor, a brand owned by Global Data, NVIDIA will reveal its investment plans for Thailand in December.